Hello, everyone. Welcome to Gens Before Friends. I'm Mockingbird, and we have Queen Amgie
Hello.
and Morbid Plum.
Hello.
And we have so much to talk about
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
we had the anniversary live stream and PTB, and everything was leaked. Um,
What? That's never happened before, right?
that
Yeah, no,
never
no.
happens. Never
Shock.
happens. I mean, it didn't happen for Skull Merchant. They got through one chapter without a leak.
No one wanted her, so they
I
didn't
was
even
like,
bother leaking
yeah,
it.
the one nobody wanted or cared about if they leaked, so it's fine.
So I guess let's talk about leaks and um, if it bothers you that everything's leaked. What about you, Queen AMG?
I mean, it doesn't really bother me when things get leaked. I think just it disrupts the process for stuff because they had to push their live stream up and they had to edit stuff and be like, "Oh, live streams, the everything's not going live today. We push this up." I'm the kind of person who I do look at leaks because I want to know because I'm curious.
Hmm.
But I can understand how it can bother some people when you get super excited, especially like this one. Everything seemed to come out all on like the same day from everybody. I think it's an inside job.
Probably. I would agree with that. What about you, Morbid?
Um, yeah, I mean, it made me think of when the Resident Evil chapter came out, and I didn't look at any leaks. I didn't look at any of that stuff. So, like, when they announced Nemesis, I was so excited because I knew nothing. And I kind of like not knowing, but then the more I've gotten into this community and the game in general, I'm like, I'm just gonna look now. But like Queen said, it was like I've been checking and nobody knew anything. Like there were just so many guesses and blah blah blah, and then all of a sudden it was just the whole entire roadmap, and I was like, oh wow, okay, somebody started leaking things. Cool, cool.
Yeah, and I don't know, and it wasn't just the anniversary stuff. It was like everything, like
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
upcoming projects. I mean, it was all the stuff they talked about in the live stream, but yeah, like it was everything. It wasn't just the new chapter. And like I don't understand how it keeps happening. This seemed bigger though than usual because it was like everything. It wasn't just
Yeah.
the next chapter. It was their upcoming projects. So I don't know. And I don't know, like I said, we didn't have anything with Skull Merchant and now we're back to these massive leaks.
Mhm.
Um and I mean I guess it's just how it is now because I did find out today, like I was noticing, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre technical test was this last weekend, and
Mm-hmm.
apparently it's gotten leaks already, and hackers were in there, and
Mm.
Oh
so
wow.
other family members got kind of leaked, or the hackers were able to be family members that haven't been released yet. Um, so,
Interesting.
so I don't know if we're just in the day and age of like hackers and leakers getting into the game files and just spoiling stuff.
Yeah.
But I am kind of disappointed. I would like to be surprised because part of what made DVD fun, like in the past, now it feels like years ago, where like
Mm-hmm.
people would speculate who's going to be the next killer.
Mhm.
The tinfoil hat talks,
Yeah.
and trying to
I
like
loved it. Yeah.
yeah, and that's kind
With
of gone now.
polyester.
With polyester, and that's kind of gone now because it's just leaked. Like if we get a
Yeah.
teaser, it ends up getting leaked a week later. Like we can't really guess anymore, and that just kind of makes me sad. And I tried
Yeah.
not to
Kind of.
look at
Yeah.
the leaks for Singularity. Like I heard the
Yeah.
name, but I was like, I'm gonna try, but it just ends up being everywhere, right? So
It was
Yeah, and
just
it kind
kind of
of.
weird
Oh, sorry.
how, no, you're fine, how just everything seemed to come out at once. Because there was a lot of speculation with people doing videos on what they thought it was. And it seems like we were just getting little tiny links. And then all of a
mhm.
sudden, like, I wake up one day and it's just, here's everything that's going on for the next however many months. And I was like, did someone just were people holding on to this information, or did someone just drop it all at once? And it was just very weird how it all just came out on that one day. And in regards to the Skull Merchant, like, was she really leakable? Like, they got into the files, they're like, Skull Merchant, they're like, yeah, no.
They were like, this is it?
her.
I'm not leaking this. This is
I'm not
dumb.
leaking this.
Like, I'm not wasting my time on this.
Yeah.
No.
And I don't know. I mean, are they hacks? Are people like getting into their stuff, or is this like an employee? Like,
think
I don't.
it's employee. This one had to be.
Yeah.
It was way
Yeah,
too much.
In the past, it's been data miners, kind of finding out stuff like out of the PTB files. It usually is, I think. But yeah, this was like everything like coming up. It wasn't, like I said, like if it was just the next chapter, I would say it's just data miners, right?
Yeah.
Going into the game files, because and usually like in PTB files they'll pull out like different file names and like find out information that way. But this was like, yeah, it was like all their media stuff, like if that makes sense, like everything coming up. So, but let's move on from leaks because let's talk about what we did find out.
DVD, check the team.
Well, I think they. Well, gosh. Go back.
Also, don't fire anyone before live stream. Because who knows if a disgruntled employee took everything with them.
Oh gosh, security. But let's talk about the anniversary live stream. Everything that was told to us, confirmed from the leaks, I guess.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about roadmap. They did release the roadmap. Part of it we already know because one of the leaks was, of course, Nicolas Cage is coming to DVD. But they said there were going to be 2 licensed survivors and 2 licensed killers, and so we're going to have the upcoming chapter in June, the end transmission that we got the PTB for. July is new survivor, and I'm going to guess that will be Nicolas Cage.
Yeah,
because the date for more information is July, so it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, I think it was July 5th was the like, we're gonna tell you more. Yeah.
And then August we have a new killer, new survivor, and new map. And then November
new map, yay!
November we get a new killer, so killer only. So November and January we're getting what they call their paragraphs, where it's just a single character. So maybe November is going to be a licensed killer because it's separate, and then January is a survivor and map rework. So maybe those 2 are licensed. I don't know. And then March is going to be killer, survivor, and new map.
I'm excited for everything coming up.
I know, especially maps. I want more maps.
Hopefully they're good.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's a lot of hate for the new maps. So and all the junk and the clutter. But so we know Nicolas Cage. Any speculation on whether licenses you think could be coming in? Morbid, do you have one?
I mean, God, I would love it if they did like his movie ones, but I think did they mention if there were going to be any film cosmetics?
No, I think it's going to be all original, is what I heard.
Yeah. Well, hopefully they can get away with like copying Con Air, because I would love that. Like, that would be amazing. I mean, even if they did original content, I feel like it would still be kind of cool. I don't know what they would give him. Probably just a lot of maybe Mimi outfits or something. But I do think it's kind of cool. Like, I was surprised. I was like, that's the new survivor. Like, that's it. It's Nicolas Cage. But then the more I thought about it, I was like, okay, I mean, that's kind of cool. They could have gotten anybody, but they got Nicolas Cage.
Well, he's been in a lot of horror stuff lately.
True, yeah. And
he's in the genre.
I believe his son is a fan of the game, so that might have been how he got his in.
Yeah. But as far as upcoming chapters, any other licenses you think?
Oh, any other licenses? I mean, maybe just like the ones that we talked about. Like, I don't know if they'll ever do Chucky, but I I don't know. I'm trying to think of other licenses that they could get.
Yeah, because the way they phrased it, they made it seem like they weren't getting a whole licensed chapter. I don't know. They
Yeah,
phrased it
just
really weird because we rewatched and it was like 2 licensed survivors and 2 licensed killers.
Hmm.
but I
Um,
suppose they don't have to do an entire like franchise. They could just get like a singular character or a singular killer. Um,
well, they've done that in the past, so
yeah.
because like
So that I
Leatherface, Ghostface.
yeah, so they could end up with like Pennywise and they just get Pennywise and that's it.
Mhm.
And I mean, I still think that would be interesting. I don't know if they would get Pennywise. I feel like he's more has more of a chance than like Jason or something.
I'm hoping for Jason.
I mean,
I
I
was
would
like,
love
yeah,
that,
that's who
but
I'm hoping for too.
I just don't know if they're going to head that direction.
Do you have any other thoughts, Queen, upcoming?
Mm-mm. I think a lot of people want Jason, and I think you have an opportunity because didn't Ghosty come out just by himself?
Yes, Ghosty,
Yeah, I was say yes.
Leatherface was by himself.
Yeah.
Um, and I mean, they did single survivor. Michaela was the first single survivor. Now she's not
Mm-hmm.
licensed, but
My girl,
Mhm.
Michaela. Yeah.
they could do. Um, obviously we're in that cage, but yeah,
And that does bring like an opportunity for other actors too. Like they'd be like, "Hey,
Mhm.
I want to be in the game," and that could open up a whole new door of license.
Yeah, it's very interesting because it's kind of bringing in the real world, our
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
reality into DVD, right? With putting Nicolas Cage and having an actual person and
Mhm.
not one of his characters be in the game. And apparently he's doing all the voice lines, obviously, and all the grunts and the screaming and all that for the game.
That's pretty awesome, though.
Yeah, it's cool.
I mean, Nick Cage has kind of been everywhere. I mean, he's always kind of been everywhere, but I feel like there's this Nicolas Cage resurgence that's been happening the last couple of
Mhm.
years,
For sure.
and him coming back and everything to like a whole new generation of kids who maybe haven't watched his works. Like, we grew up on Nick Cage, all this stuff. Um, I'm excited. I was seriously hoping that he would be the survivor and killer.
Me too.
I think that'd
Uh,
be so cool. But I know he's just survivor. I'm more interested to see what kind of perks they're gonna have for him, and if
Oh
they're
my
maybe gonna
goodness.
be related to some of his works.
Yeah.
Um, I think that'd be interesting. And it opens up maybe having other people come in because there's a lot of actors that are big in, horror genres in general. And that'd be interesting to have them in the game.
okay, so let's move on to another part of the roadmap they talked about was events. They're going to have more smaller events on the roadmap. It looks like, of course, we're getting an anniversary event
Hmm.
in June. August, we're getting an event. Obviously, we've got Halloween events in October, November, the Christmas event, New Year's. But they mentioned like there was going to be other smaller events going on in between. There's a barbecue event and something we asked for, a random perks challenge will be incorporated somehow.
Ooh.
So
Yeah.
finally, perk roulette.
Which
Hope
they talked little about, but it's fine.
maybe it's just going to be a test run for a new game mode. I'm hoping like if it's
Yeah.
received well, like
Yes.
they'll be like, let's just put this in the game. Yes.
Which, yeah, that does kind of lean towards them trying other game modes. So hopefully this will work in our favor and we'll get more game modes.
I'm really hoping that all these events is hopefully going to help with player engagement and maybe bring some of the fan base back with some of the back-to-back ones. And like towards the end of the year, I think we get, like, at least for me personally, some of my favorite events, like the Halloween event
Hmm.
and Christmas events and New Year's. I like to stock up on all the blood point stuff and use it throughout the year.
Yeah.
um, but I feel like with the live stream they did that they were really trying to tell people that they were listening. So I have a lot of hope that all of this stuff does come to pass, especially those in-game events, no matter like how small they are. And that's something that they also stick with.
Yeah.
Is what I'm kind of hoping. But I'm excited for some of the smaller events because um, it just helps make it interesting, and you're not doing the same thing every day when you're logging in. If there's some type of event you can do with challenges.
Yeah. Especially because we don't have our, Survivor and Killer Daily, separated out.
Confirmed.
Yeah.
Which was not in the live stream. I
No,
was
not in the
very
live
upset.
stream.
But whoever has been giving me all their Survivor dailies, thank you.
Queen has been rich in
See,
the Survivor dailies. I still have Killer
I
they're
have
dailies.
listening
3
to
right
you.
now. I've had Survivor dailies past like 2 weeks. Super happy.
Oh, okay. So another thing they talked about was map balancing. Okay. And it didn't seem like they're going to do a lot of major reworks. They're going to kind of make smaller adjustments throughout the year. But they did mention that their next 2 maps that they're going to look at are Cold Wind maps, Rancid Abattoir, and Fractured Cowshed. And those will be done at the end of the summer. What do y'all think about their take on maps, Queen?
I want to know how they came up with those 2 maps. Because I know when I was watching the live stream, I was on a streamer's channel, and all of a sudden, chat, everyone was like Haddonfield, and then they mentioned these, and people were confused. So I don't know. I guess I need to look at statistics of, um, you know, survivor killer ratio maybe for those maps. And see why they chose them. But I just feel like there's other maps that probably use the balancing a little more than those 2. I honestly, they didn't cross my mind at all when they started mentioning map balancing that those would be the maps selected.
What about you, Morbid?
Yeah, I have the same thoughts on that because I didn't think of Cold Wind because those were the ones that they updated. And I know it wasn't recently, but they reworked those entire maps. And I was like, oh, we're going to go with Cold Wind. That's cool. I mean, I know they did say that they wanted to make them less survivor and killer sided and more balanced, but I'm not sure what about those they found like lacking. I am glad that they pronounced Rancid Abattoir because I did not know that's how you pronounce that map. But
Learn
yeah,
something new.
so how about you, Mockingbird? Did you have any thoughts?
I was kind of surprised. I feel like the Cold Wind farms, besides it being daylight, I didn't like the visual updates. But as far as like map balance, I feel like they're fairly balanced.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they would not have also been my first pick. I don't know what would have been my first pick, but not
Yeah.
Cold Wind. If they wanted to make it darker, I'd be very happy. But
I was just gonna say that. I was like, I mean, if they made them darker.
go back to them being dark and creepy. Um, but yeah, no, I was kind of surprised, but I'm kind of glad they're not doing a big overhaul, and that's probably why we're getting new maps this year. So I'm hoping they're kind of done with most of the graphical updates and stuff, so they can concentrate on putting out new maps. So,
Same.
but another thing they announced, which is very big, is the anti-base camping mechanic.
Woo!
And
Yeah.
what they explained was that if a killer is within a certain radius, there will be a meter and it will fill up. And basically, this meter fills up because they're face camping you. You will be able to unhook yourself. And this will even work on second stage. But there will be some counters to it, like if survivors are at the hook also, the meter will go slower. So it'll be interesting to see how that works, and how the meter works and how close you have to be. So what are your thoughts on it, Morbid?
I do like that they're trying to address this issue. I know it's been a huge thing that survivors have been talking about. Like, it sucks having to get hooked, and then the killer stands in front of you, and then especially if you're not playing with a Swift, you're alone, so no one's going to come for you because you can't communicate. And I think it's kind of an interesting way that they went about it, I guess, with like the meter and everything, and also that you can save yourself on second hook. I thought that was kind of interesting. I don't know how to work with other perks though. I think we had talked about like reassurance, like how if that would be affected, if it would affect the meter.
Mm-hmm.
So it'd be interesting to see how that works.
Oh yeah. Oh, and let me also, I forgot to add also this the meter does go away once in game
Oh
is
yeah,
enabled, because then that's
yeah,
the killer's only objective, obviously, is defend. If they get a hook, is to defend it.
and that makes sense, I
Yeah.
think. I mean, you do get sometimes camped if like you're the only one that they catch, but I feel like you have a better chance anyway. So
What about you, Queen?
I like the concept of it. I want to see it in action.
yeah, for sure.
I definitely like it because I feel like lately a lot of times there's been camping at 5 to 4 gens, which I just don't understand as a killer camping at 5 or 4 gens when like
Hmm.
nothing's done. I'm also interested to see how this might impact other perks. But in general, I like it. To be able to unhook yourself is nice. That means that your team doesn't have to come for you. I think it's really going to encourage the killer. You have to go out because if not, then that person can just sit there and they know they can unhook themselves at some point while everyone else is doing gen. So it really doesn't make sense for the killer just to wait there for you to unhook yourself.
Yeah.
Which I thought was kind of a good workaround. But again, I kind of want to see it in action to
Yeah.
see how killers will, I guess, fare against it or use that mechanic because you never know. Something I learned in DBD, even if it's something for survivors or killers, somehow the other side ends up figure a way how to manipulate it.
Yeah.
Very true.
So I'm interested just to see how it works and if it's successful.
Yeah, same. Because I'm curious, like how fast the meter fills up
Hmm.
and how much time it takes to fill up. Because like right now, if you're being face camped, that's like a full minute for each hook state,
Yeah.
right? That your team can do gens and stuff. So I'm curious, like how fast it fills up if they are like actually face camping you. And obviously, if you unhook yourself, you'll still have the built-in BT.
Hmm.
But I feel like in solo queue, like if you could just still be tunneled off the hook is my only fear. Like even with the meter, if someone wants to tunnel someone out, will they still be able
They
to do
will.
it? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you hit them with BT or you wait out BT. This is mainly solo queue. Like Swift wouldn't be a problem. People would come take hits.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, so
Yeah,
we
that's
gotta
like my
see it.
biggest concern is like being alone. Like, or not alone, but not in a Swift gameplay. And I'm assuming that you would still like if you get off the hook, you would still have like the borrowed time effect
You always
and
do,
all
yeah.
that. Okay, because I was like, wait, so if you get off, you're just screwed because then he
Because
could just hit you again.
you have it with deliverance too. Like anytime you're unhooked,
Okay, yeah.
you have BT.
Well, that works then. At
But
least they're addressing it or attempting to address it and not just ignoring it. So
that is
I'll
true
give them that.
because it used to be they would just say, "Well, it's part of the game.
Hmm.
It's a mechanic of the game." And so I was kind
It's
of surprised they came
yeah.
out with this at all because I had not really
Yeah.
heard of them actually wanting to address this at any point. Like I thought they were just going to let it be a thing forever.
Well, especially since they're like, well, it's a valid way for a killer to play, which I understand, but it's a really big issue. You camping a killer camping somebody just because you get a win because you camp doesn't mean that you're a good killer.
It's
Yeah.
boring.
You
Too.
know, so I'd be curious to see again how long, like if this does happen, how long someone would need BT if someone is going to try to tunnel them out now off the hook.
Hmm.
Wondering if maybe the borrow time status is like longer. Like if you have
Yeah,
to
that's
unhook yourself,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
maybe
I was
having
curious about that too.
not only borrow time, because borrow time is just the endurance, or is it a swift effect too? Sorry, I can't
It's
remember.
both. You have
It's
a
both.
haste and
You have the haste
an
and the
endurance
endurance.
for 10 seconds.
I would think that it would need to be longer because I feel like somebody can still, if they really want to tunnel, they're gonna,
Mm-hmm.
and they might need to make it longer. If they're already doing that, I think it makes sense. Give them 20 seconds. Give them
Yeah,
30
especially
seconds.
for that. Like, I feel like it might need to be a little bit longer.
Yeah, because you need to be able to get to a safe loop, basically. How
Mm-hmm.
long will it take you to get to a safe loop? And it depends on the map. It depends if you're in a dead zone. So yeah, longer BT would help. Even if they waited out, they would still give you time to get somewhere safer. And like a teammate, even in solo queue, you can have good teammates that'll come body block and stuff. Like
Yeah.
someone that come get in the killer's face for you. But it'll be interesting to see.
Mm-hmm.
They said that's going to come out later this year, so we don't have an exact time frame. So I imagine that'll be fall.
Probably be part of it, like a PTB.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking forward to testing it to see it all out. But yeah, and I also think even with just solo queue, I'm wondering if that would impact. Solo queue sometimes it's hard to get someone to come get you in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
But I have a feeling that could also work negatively in the fact that no one's going to even attempt to come get you at all. And they're just going to let you be this sacrificial person, just consistently getting tunneled,
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we'll see. We'll see. You never know. If there's a way that's why I think like the haste and the endurance effects might need to be a little bit longer to ensure that survivor can get away safely and at least play the game, because we all know what it's like to play a game where you don't touch a gin at all, and it's not fun.
Yeah, you're just
Yeah, it's
chased
frustrating.
Yeah, you're just chased the whole time.
And you get out of the match with like I don't know, 5K points, like hardly anything
Yeah.
because all you've done
Yeah,
has been chased. So,
you should get more points for being chased.
yeah, that's been
Right?
talked about before. Like gens that
Yeah.
get done should count.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a whole other topic.
Yeah.
So, another thing they announced was a search bar.
Woo
Where are your
Yeah.
perks?
I'm so excited.
Finally, 7 years in,
Yes.
we can search.
Now I just have to remember perk names.
Well, you
Yeah.
don't have to remember the perk names. You can just remember
Oh,
what they
that's
do. Like if
What
you
they
put
do.
generator
Right.
in, it'll pull up like they showed. If you write in generator, it'll pull up all your generator perks.
Yeah, if you type in just the name of like the killer or survivor, it'll pull up like only their perks. So it feels intuitive. So if you're just like extra time, I don't know, something might pop up.
Yeah.
Just have everything memorized by the picture and where they are on my pages.
Exactly.
I'm like, okay, it's this picture and it's on page 8. What's the name of the perk? Who knows?
Yeah.
Okay. Did we need to say anything more about search bar? Yay!
No, I think
finally.
it's
No.
something that we all like, and it's
Ex-
something positive.
Yeah.
Except I think it's on all platforms, and then I'm pretty sure it's going live with the next update.
Yeah, it was in this PTB, so
Yeah. Oh yeah, because I used it.
Yeah, so it'll be in the anniversary chapter. So it's coming now, basically.
Cool beans.
June 13th.
Yeah.
The other thing they announced that'll happen this summer is when a survivor disconnects, that player will be replaced with a survivor bot.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think, Morbid?
This one was another interesting thing that I didn't know we needed. I'm not sure how it's going to work, if it's going to be successful, but again, if somebody drops out for whatever reason, they rage quit, they lose internet, it does suck being down one person, and hopefully this can help. It's just going to see like how smart are they, like how intuitive are they actually going to help, or are they just going to run around like so it's going to be interesting to see that. But I like that they're addressing this as well. I don't know if this was something people asked for, because I never even thought about it.
Yeah,
So
it's something
yeah.
I know we have asked for with the bots, and I know that they've been experimenting even with the bots that they added to like the kill your friends or to test the custom matches.
Yeah. Kill your friends.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
can
that
never.
one.
I just call it kill your friends. Custom matches. Now those bots weren't super intuitive, like
Yeah.
especially in the very beginning. But I think it's going to be interesting. I think they're going to get a lot more use out of them. Than maybe they think, because we've had a lot of matches lately where first couple of minutes into the match, whoever gets caught first, if it's a rando, they just disconnect, or people killing themselves on hook. It's been really weird. Maybe just a lot of angry people and they're raging easier. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I'm interested to see how well the bots work. I'm interested to see if the bots are going to have any relation to MMR or if they're all going to be the same.
Oh, I didn't even think of that.
Because essentially, you don't want a little baby bot if you have a killer that has high MMR. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so I don't know how. Like, I don't know the word I'm looking for. I guess
Like if they're gonna
effective it's going to be across the board with different levels of players.
Like if they'll scale to match
Yes.
the level you're at, I guess. Yeah.
Which sounds really complicated.
My guess would be no.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. No.
Right. That seems a little too hard of a thing to pull.
Well, you don't want the bots tied in the corners. We've had,
exactly.
Oh my gosh.
Maki and I have followed bots around before, and they just like duck and hide, and just even out in the middle of nowhere, at the edge of the map or out in the middle of the map, like. So I'm hoping that they work.
Oh yeah.
I've had ones that just constantly come up to me and like heal me, and I'm like, go do something.
Oh yeah, when Morbid and I played PTB, we did a custom just to check out the map and stuff, and like we put bots in there. And I was like, we're gonna moor you these bots, and then like confine the bots because they're like hiding on the edge of the map.
They're just like, wandering around. It was really weird.
Confine Jonah forever.
Yeah.
Do you mean they play like solo queue players?
Basically.
But I mean, worst comes to worst, at least it's a body in the match, if that makes sense. Like it's someone the killer is gonna at least have to down and hook.
True.
And waste some time. It will waste some sort of amount of time versus having someone disconnect and then there's just, three survivors.
There's 3 people.
It'll at least be another a bot player in there to waste some of the killer's time.
Yeah. So everyone, once the bot goes in, you all go hide.
Sacrifice the bot.
Let's pick a locker.
The bot.
But I don't know. Maybe they'll improve the programming for the bots. I don't know. Because they did recently add where you could give the bots perks and stuff. And if you give them a flashlight, they do like to try to flashlight. So maybe they'll keep improving the bots as the game goes on.
Hopefully. At least they can be a little nuisance. You know what I mean? They can chase around. They can be the Nia. Run around and try to flashlight save everybody.
Oh my.
There you go.
Okay, other thing we wanted to talk about was they're going to add in the report system. And so at the end of the match, you can report players for different grievances. And now it will actually keep track. And it'll let you know if they took action or not. So what do you think, Queen?
Makes me wonder what they were doing before.
Oh, it was just going to a dead link. We weren't going anywhere.
Thank you for reporting this. This is not going anywhere. I like that they're at least following up. Again, it does show that they are listening to their player base and trying to take some of this stuff seriously, which I think they need to do after a lot of the stuff that's happened, at the beginning of this year and toward the ends of last year, with just everything going on. We want to know what's happening. Like, keep us in the loop. But it does, like, when I saw this, first thing I thought was, well, was no one reading this before? Like, no one reading this stuff. But I hopefully we can see it in action. So it's not that I'm excited to report somebody, but I'm excited to report somebody and see if I get anything back.
What about you, Morbid?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Especially like if it's, like a really bad incident. Where like if you have a hacker and they're really utilizing whatever they're doing to hack and you report them and you never hear anything, you're like, well, I wonder if they're still doing it or if something happened. This way at least you can know, hey, we took action. And hopefully they did, and they aren't just saying that and they're like, oh yeah, we looked into this and they didn't. So and like Queen said, it's going to that more transparent, I guess, behavior that they're trying to do. They want us to know that they're listening to us. They're not just doing nothing. So, yeah. How about you?
I am curious because, okay, so right now to actually report, like if you really want to report like a grievance, like a hacker, or like not too long ago, I had a match, y'all were in it, where this ghost face basically trapped me in a room. You know, I couldn't do anything about it. So
Mm-hmm.
usually if you really want something done, you have to like submit a support ticket. You have to go out on their website. And if you have
Yeah.
video evidence, even better. But like when I reported that incident, they were like, well, we've looked at it, but we can't tell you the outcome. So I'm curious to see what kind of like information they'll give us on this report system. Because right now they don't really tell you anything, anyways. They just tell you they've seen it and they're
Yeah.
going to do something, but you don't ever find out if they've done anything or not. And I don't know if you actually can unless if you go check out the person you reported account. So, I mean, this is good. It's a step in the right direction. And I also hope it will prevent false reporting as well.
Yeah.
Because
I
I've
was thinking of
seen,
that too.
I've seen videos on YouTube where like, talking about people reporting other players when it's not really a reportable offense. They just didn't like how the person plays, so they're going to say, well, they were doing this, or sometimes people false report and be like, well, they said, you know, inappropriate stuff in the in-game chat, right? Stuff that's bannable, and when they actually did it. So hopefully this will also keep false reporting down as well, because now it's like, well, they're tracking it.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to look at it now. And then maybe there will be a repercussion if you false report too. Like, oh, this person didn't say
Yeah.
anything in the end game. They just said like GG. You were the one that had a problem.
Get rid of
So,
those trolls.
Yep.
so another thing they announced was new games, and these are new games with other studios, so not just Behavior. The first one they announced was going to be with Supermassive Games. That game is going to be a single person story driven game, and it'll be with new characters. So, not any of the characters that are in the game currently. And Supermassive Games, if you're not familiar, is the creators of Until Dawn and the Dark Pictures anthology games, where it's very choice driven. And then the other game they announced was with Midwinter, and that's a studio that Behavior actually bought, and it's supposed to be a multiplayer game, not an ASIM. Um,
Hmm.
they talked about of themes of greed and power. It'll be 4 players, and you take on enemies, and that's kind of all we got from the games. We don't
Yeah.
really have any characters. We didn't have any gameplay. Just kind of more of
Short
like an
description.
announcement, I guess, that this
Yeah.
is going on. So what do you think, Morbid?
Yeah, I think it's kind of cool that they're branching out and trying different things. I've watched you play the Dark Pictures anthology, and it was pretty cool. So I'd be interested to see like a DVD version of that to kind of get more into the lore, kind of go in depth, and hopefully be like super scary. Well, not super scary, but more scary than it was, that it has been. I'm interested in the new multiplayer one, but they literally said nothing about it, so I guess we'll have to wait and see what that's going to be. But other than that, I don't really have much thought on it, I guess. Just cool.
What about you, Queen?
I'm interested for the Supermassive game. I love story driven games. And again, I've loved watching you, play those games as well. I need to play them myself because I love types of games like that. I'm wondering if these games, um, if they are, I guess, more DBD related, if at some point then that content we brought into DBD,
I
which
thought of
I
that
think would
too.
be good marketing in general. But I'm excited to see them branching out. I'm excited for anything that has multiplayer that I can play with friends. And
Hmm.
I really do like PvE content where it's, players versus the environment. So I'm excited to see what that's going to be. Um, so they didn't give us a lot, like
Mm-mm.
really nothing at all, other than like a small description. But I have hope that, it will help, and maybe bring in more players just in general, especially, with them team up with Supermassive Games. So I'm really hoping it would bring in more players.
Yeah, I'm curious what the midwinter one, the
Hmm.
multiplayer is. Like, if you're taking on the environment, like, because when I think of that, I'm like, is it a shooter game? Like, what are we doing?
I don't want it to be a
With
shooter game.
DBD. I know, but it's just like so maybe it's going to be more, I don't know. You have to find
Survival?
items, survival, yeah. Hopefully no gens and doing skill checks, obviously.
Yeah.
So
Just a huge
I'm
skill check
curious.
simulator.
I'm curious what it is and like what the enemies are going to be. The supermassive one, I'm interested. I'm kind of disappointed though it is single person because their other games
Yeah.
are two player,
Oh,
which
that's
I
true.
like playing with other people
Hmm.
because or they could have had the option for both with the other with Supermassive's other game. You could play it single or you can play it with someone else, and I do kind of enjoy playing it with someone else and seeing the choices we both make in the story. So hopefully the Supermassive one will be a good story and hopefully dives into like more of the entity lore.
Hmm.
Um, and hopefully we'll be attached to these characters as well because I was kind of disappointed it's not like exploring current characters in the game, but we'll see. We'll see what it is. We don't have any information really, so we'll have to wait and see.
Maybe
And I don't think
maybe
there was
it'll
a
be
release, any sort of
Watcher
release for it.
lore.
Oh yeah, or Observer.
Observer.
Oh.
Yeah, Observer.
Yeah, he's still missing, isn't
Or
he?
someone we don't, yeah, as far as I know, or
He's still
someone we don't know about,
we're not
or
gonna
yeah,
we're not gonna
pulling
find out
from,
till Supermassive's game comes out what happens to the
yeah.
Observer.
But they have a lot to do. They can pull a lot from like the tapes and stuff
Hmm.
that are in DBD. Um, so I'm excited to see what they do with it, and then I'm hopeful that if it does well, that they'd want to bring that into the game.
Well, hopefully we'll hear more soon.
Hmm.
Okay, next big thing is we had PTB. We
Yep.
had the new killer, the Singularity, and new
Mm-hmm.
survivor Gabriel
So,
Soma.
well,
I guess let's go over the killer. The Singularity is this AI creature. This whole chapter takes place in the future, and basically the Singularity's power is it has these biopods that can shoot and put on walls, and it basically acts like a camera. But if it spots you on the camera, it shoots. I don't remember what they're called, but it shoots like a creature onto your back, and you have to get an EMP to get rid of it, and you can use the EMPs to get rid of or disable the cameras.
mm-hmm.
Um, and I think that's mainly the power. But also if you have the thing on your back, it can go into, it can use its killer power, and it shows up right behind you and starts chasing you. It can vault faster, basically hunt you down really fast. So, and then we have Gabriel Soma is our survivor. Do we want to go through the perks or do we want to talk about the killer power first?
We can talk about like the killer first, new killer perks, and then we can do survivor perks.
Sounds good. Let's talk about killer queen since you spoke up.
Well, the first thing I like is I like the lore. for both the killer and the survivor. I happen to be a fan of sci-fi horror, so I was really excited that they're branching out into something else, especially a genre that I enjoy. Um, so I think for the most part, the killer was received pretty well, and it has interesting mechanics, including its perks. So let me pull it up here. So the first perk it had is genetic limit. So when a survivor finishes the healing action, they suffer the exhausted status effects for a certain period of time, um, which combined with some of the other healing like perks killers have to kind of like nerf healing survivor side. I'm a little worried about that. But we'll see what happens. Forced hesitation, so is another perk, is when a survivor is put into the dying state by any means. All their survivors standing within a certain meter around them suffer the hinder status fact for a period of time. And it also reduces their movement speed by 15%. That's huge. And I know when we played it, we were like, why am I moving so slow?
Yeah, because I think that's even slower than when you're hindered by Wesker,
Yeah, yeah.
the virus. So
hmm
it's very slow.
It's very slow. And then the last perk is machine learning. So after performing the damage generator action, machine learning will activate. And while it's active, the next generator you damage will be compromised until it's completed. And that generator is highlighted in yellow. And when the generator is completed, the killer becomes undetectable, and they also gain a 7% haste status effect for a certain period of time, and then it will deactivate. It does say if you break a gen while another generator is compromised, the compromised generator moves to the latest one kicked. Anytime where a killer can go undetectable, I don't like, but it does help with jump scares. So I think that's an interesting perk, especially with combined with maybe some of the other perks that make killers undetectable. I feel like maybe they bringing back some of that jump scare, the scary stuff. So that is the singularities perks. Is there certain ones you guys like? You're looking forward to maybe playing or using, or yeah, tell me your thoughts on mocking.
I think my favorite would be the genetic limits. Anytime
Mm-hmm.
you can cause exhaustion, keep them from using life or sprint burst. I don't know how worried I am with it with other healing perks because those haven't changed. Because
Mm-hmm.
this one doesn't affect the healing speed or anything.
Mm-mm.
Um, I don't know if there'll be much use out of machine learning, or maybe just not on this killer. I don't know. Because ideally, you don't want survivors to finish gens, right?
Yes.
So I don't know. I think it's going to be situational. Um, and I don't know about forced hesitation. Uh, we did play PTB a bit, but I mean, I did when I played PTB though. I did come across forced hesitation, and you as survivor, and yes, you're
Mm-hmm.
very slow.
You're very slow.
Very very slow. But it's only making sure I'm reading this right. It's only for 10 seconds. So it's not very long time. I think this is kind of to prevent maybe flashlight saves, flashbang saves, saboing, right? Because when you put anyone in a dying state and they're right there, right, to get the flashlight save or the sabo, they're going to be slow. So that's what I see the most use out of force hesitation. What about you, Morbid?
Yeah, I feel the same. I played him pretty much only in a custom for the PTB, but he was a lot of fun. I don't know, he was just not different, but I liked his mechanics and I liked his, when you shot out the little pod thingies and you can like look around with cameras. I thought that was pretty cool. I only played him with genetic limits. I didn't try the other two because they just didn't seem that exciting, I guess, to me. But I really did like the genetic limits one, so I feel like that one's probably gonna be the most used. Um, But yeah, I think the same. The forced hesitation, that one was not great. I didn't like it. His Mori's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, let's talk about
Mm-hmm.
that.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty gruesome.
It's
Um,
finally bloody, right?
yeah, it
Mm-hmm.
was super
Mm-hmm.
bloody and violent, kind of. He basically picks you up and like drills into your face, kind of, or your eye, and then like you get all these boils, and then your face gets ripped off. So that was fun.
It's like it melts off or something, I guess is what it's
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
supposed to
Like
even
melts
do.
that.
off.
I think it melts off. I just know that you don't have a face anymore.
Yeah, it's all bloody and stuff. Except for
Mm-hmm.
Michaela. Michaela's was bugged or something because she was still
Oh
beautiful.
yeah. You
Yeah,
know what? Michaela's just
it.
beautiful all the time.
Yeah,
So the killer was like, I don't want to hurt your precious face.
it's honestly what I would have expected from Gold Merchant. Like more like gruesome, I guess. Hers is just very underwhelming, and I was very excited to see that this one was a good Mori.
I feel like
I
this
was
is
excited to get Mori'd. Like we played
Yeah.
custom, I was like, do it, do it.
yeah.
So, anyone else's thoughts on Mori's or anything else?
I forgot to talk about the killer power. I like the killer power. I feel like it's
Oh
not
yeah,
overpowering.
Mm-hmm.
I think it if played right, this killer can be very good. I think I had trouble. I have to get used to the camera system when you're looking through the camera and going from camera to camera. That was like the hardest part was being fast, but that's just going to come with practice
yeah.
and
Yeah.
learning.
I did feel like I was spending a lot of time looking around, and I was like, oh, I have to go quick.
But I think this killer's good. I right now I would say if they don't change anything, obviously to live, I would say he's like in the middle. He's not overpowering, but he's not weak either.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
And I like that the power is interesting. I like the EMP counter to it also, because
Yeah.
it's not so like with the Skull Merchant, the drones you have like the arrows you have to do before you can take the drone. But the EMP, I like the concept of the EMP that they are printed, they come out after a certain time, or you
Mm-hmm.
can make them come out faster by sitting at the box and
Mm-hmm.
then getting one. And that they're easy to use. You hold it, it makes a dome, and everything in that dome will get taken out. If it's so, you can take out multiple things with it too. Like if more than one person has the pod on their back, you can take out both of them with one EMP. So I really like the EMP and it's easy to use. Like you charge it and you use it. And I think that's what they were missing with like the simplicity, like with Skull Merchant. Like I think they
Yeah,
made
there's
Merchant
yeah.
too complicated and like getting a drone too complicated. Like I think
Mm-hmm.
if you could just get the drone, then it would have
Without
been
having to
better.
like do the little code.
Yeah. I think they were just trying to add a different mechanic in,
Mm-hmm.
but with how she can 3 gen, I feel like if the faster you could get your drone, the better. So that's why I like the EMPs. Like you just charge it, takes
Mm-hmm.
a few seconds, and then you use it. Boom.
And
So
when something else that's cool about this killer is another way I think they did a good job balancing it with the fact that survivors kind of have unlimited EMPs on the map is that once they're tagged with that biopod, they can transfer it to other survivors.
mhm.
So if you're in close proximity to another survivor, and it transfers very fast.
Oh yeah.
Um, so I think that's a good way they did to balance it. Um, where you could just constantly we kept running into each other accidentally, and we're like, "Oh, you transferred it to me." um, so I enjoyed playing against this killer. So I think it's a step in the right direction.
So let's talk about the survivor. We have Gabriel, Soma.
Hmm.
Um, he has interesting lore as well,
Hmm.
because he's like a clone. But we can go through his perks. We have Troubleshooter. When you're chased by the killer, this perk activates. You see the aura of the generator with the most progress. You see the aura of the killer for 4, 5, or 6 seconds after dropping a pallet. This effect lasts for 6, 8, or 10 seconds after being enchased and deactivates. Then we have Made for This. This one's my favorite.
Mhm.
This perk activates while you are in the injured state. You run up to 3% faster. After you finish healing, another survivor gain the endurance status effect for up to 10 seconds. Made for This cannot be used while suffering from exhaustion, but does not cause the exhausted status effect. And then we have Scavenger. While you are holding an empty toolbox, this perk activates. Succeeding a great skill check while repairing gives the perk 1 token. Up to, 6, 5, or 4 tokens. When you reach the maximum tokens, you lose all tokens automatically and it recharges your toolbox to full. Scavenger is disabled for the remainder of the trial after recharging a toolbox. So, and this perk also grants the ability to rummage through an open chest once per trial and get a basic toolbox. So, my favorite is Made for This. I'll just start out. I ran this with resilience and had some great chases. So, if you like being chased, Made for This is for you. If you like to loot the killer, Made for This is for you. Troubleshooter was fine. You see the aura. So you see the aura of the gen with the most progress, so that helps you not run into other players that are finishing that gen. And then you see the aura of the killer after you drop a pallet. And that's basically it. It's fine. I don't have any feelings either way. I don't know. I don't think I'll run it, but I don't have a problem with it. And then Scavenger, I know some people are saying this is kind of broken if you bring a really good toolbox, but I get chased a lot, so I don't get to sit on gens. So, so what are your thoughts, Morbid?
Yeah, this one, I like him. I like his backstory and lore and everything and the way he looks. I have to agree with the perks. I ran Scavenger, but then a bunch of the games we played, I could barely get on a gen to get use out of it, but I did like it when it did work. So I might utilize that one probably more than the other two. Troubleshooter was good too. Made for This, I didn't even try because it just didn't seem like a perk I thought I'd enjoy. So yeah, I skipped that one, but I like him. I think they did a good job.
You don't want to be injured. You're like, I need to be healthy.
Yeah, I don't like being injured, so I was like, I'm just gonna skip this one and move on to the other ones that help only me.
Okay.
But yeah.
Okay, Queen, what do you think?
I like the perks only because I feel like they synergize well with other perks that we have. I did get use out of Scavenger. And I had kind of paired it with Built to Last, and I did bring in a nice toolbox, and I was able to do some gen rushing while Mocking was being chased.
With the Made for
Yeah.
This.
Yes, with the Made for This. Troubleshooter, I haven't used yet, but I think Troubleshooter would be interesting to pair maybe with like Smash Hit, the Eugen perk, where after you hit someone with a pallet, you get that boost to speed, especially since now you're seeing the aura of the killer, and can kind of help you get away safely. Made for This, I did like in general. Anything where you get any little bit of speed boost helps. The one thing I did notice from watching videos is that people were really taking advantage of that endurance status effect. And I did watch someone where someone took 6 hits because they combined it with other perks before going down.
Oh wow, I did not see that.
So,
Yeah. That's impressive.
I'm wondering if that's going to end up being reworked.
I kind of forgot about the endurance effect because I didn't really run it for that. I ran it for chase, like to get to that pallet, to get to that, to run the loop longer.
So, yeah, I was watching some people and like we got up to 6 hits, and I was like, they might end up. I think if they took out the endurance, it wouldn't even make me mad. But the running is nice. that little speed boost, and it pairs well with other perks, where I think could make it really effective. But I am wondering if the endurance status is going to stay,
I
Oh,
wonder.
that they won't change the seconds.
Well, here's a
or they'll just get
question.
rid of it altogether.
Oh, okay,
I
yeah,
kind
yeah.
of forgot about that part. So here's a question.
Yeah.
If you use Made for this, okay, it's after you finish healing another survivor. So if I'm running like we'll make it and the killer comes back to the hook, right? Finish the heal.
hmm
Do I have endurance while I'm healthy?
It just says after you finish healing the another survivor.
Yeah.
So like you could take a hit after you finish healing. But then like what if you have like
Or I guess if you're injured and you heal, then you would have an endurance and you heal someone else.
yeah. But also like
That's
what if you have
interesting.
like is it Metal Man
Yeah.
where you get the extra
Can you
hit
stack
and
it?
then
Were you able to
that
stack again?
so that's my concern is then you still have it is Dead Hard an exhaustion perk? No.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you can't use it while like
You can't use it while exhausted, but like Metal Man's not an
no, it's
exhaustion
not.
perk. So like if you take a hit, say you have your Metal Man up, you take your Metal Man up hit, then you take this hit, and then say you have Dead Hard, that's at least 3 hits in a row before you go down.
Gosh, I need you to send me this video of whoever did this. I did not know about this because I purely ran it in PTB for the haste effect.
Yes, but
The
people are capitalizing on the endurance.
yeah.
Interesting.
Well,
I'll have to find it. It was a whole Swift team that did it.
Oh gosh, yeah. On some Swifts
Mm-hmm.
that'll be bad. I mean, I'm fine with if they take the endurance out because, like I said, I didn't run it for that. I totally forgot about that. I ran
Yeah.
because I wanted to like be chased. Could I get value out of being 3% faster in chase? So
Yeah, but it does pair well with, say, for example, if you are being super altruistic and you're on a hooking and you have the killer come back to the hook, say you're running something like, we'll make it where you're healing them faster, then you finish healing, then you can take that hit and run off instead of the person you just got off hook taking the hit. So there's value to it. I'm just concerned that people are going to abuse that endurance status effect.
yeah. Any other thoughts on survivor perks?
Overall, I'm pretty
No.
excited. I think they pair well with other stuff, and I feel like the perks are also a step in the right direction from some of the last couple perks that have come out.
Yeah, they're not
Yeah,
super complicated.
Yes.
I need to get better at like knowing, hey, this will pair well with something because I'm just like, oh, let me run all 3 of them and see what happens. And yeah, I just need to get better at that. But that's me.
Well, even like the killer's perks, when I was reading these, they even have like I was wondering like so the perk that makes you slower, force hesitation. We have Renato that has that perk that once someone goes down,
Oh, background player.
background player, it makes you faster.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like there's counters now that I can actually visually see. Whereas if you play it, there's a counter, which I appreciate because it makes me think like they put a little more thought into the perks than the last ones. We were like, what were you thinking?
True.
I can see like, okay, this perk can be countered with this one. And I think it goes for both killer and survivor with all the perks that are coming out.
Let's also talk about the new map. We have Toba Landing.
Mm-hmm.
It takes place on an alien planet. There is a settlement in the middle, structure in the middle. It's 3 stories, I believe. There's a gen on the very top. And then surrounding that, there's different alien structures. There's still shack. It looks very different. But there's a lot of foliage and plants.
Creatures.
Yeah, some creatures are spiders that interact with you. So if you're a survivor,
Yeah.
there are survivors out there. We found out. If you walk up to the spiders that are like on the trees and stuff, they like hiss at you.
I didn't like it.
They move their little legs up to you.
Yeah, they have an animation where they jump up and they hiss at you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's kind of cool. But how did we feel about the map overall? Morbid, why don't you start?
I liked it. When I first got in there, just kind of looking around and seeing everything, it's I don't think it's big, but it feels big. And I don't know if that's just because you can kind of easily get lost. Because a lot of plants look the same. It's very dense, I think. Um, but it had some good looping sections for when we played it. I really liked the height that you can get. Like with the buildings, it's like 3 or 4 tiers. You can run under it. Um, there's I don't know what to call it, but there are parts where you can like run up and then it's just a little tiny drop.
Oh, they had
I
like
thought that was
ramps, like
yeah,
the
like a little
map
tiny
too.
ramp
They had little
that like
ramps.
you could run up and over. And I feel like if it works with balance landing, I feel like that might be something that could be utilized. Um, but I'm not sure how far you have to fall with balance landing. I don't think very far because I've had it activate on me at the worst time. But I thought they did a good job. I loved like the sky is really cool. You feel like you're on another planet. And there's like these creepy like pterodactyl things that fly over with a shadow, and you're kind of like, what was that? I liked like you said, the interaction with the spider. I thought that was a nice touch. I thought that was pretty cool. So yeah. How about you, Mockingbird? What did you think?
Um, I felt like I got easily lost. I do like the building,
Mhm.
but going
Yeah.
around the whole map, it was easy to get lost. I don't know if they'll get better with playing on it more, because I think it could be an issue is that like everything looks the same. I mean, there's
Yeah.
definitely different sections of the map where like I think there's a section where there's kind of some rain. You have shack, but like looking around, it's kind of hard to orient yourself, I think, unless you can find the building. Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
Mhm.
Especially on the
I agree.
edges. I'm like, wait, where did I go?
So yeah, and I feel like the gate's not clearly visible. Unlike on some maps, you can tell like, oh, it's on that wall because it's arched up. So I guess my concern is it's easy to get disoriented on the map. It to me it feels very big. Um,
Yeah.
so we'll just have to see how it plays. I mean, it's beautiful, but with all the plants and stuff, I feel like it's just easy to not know where you are because I feel like the other maps there are like landmarks and stuff, or you can definitely easily see where the loops are, where the walls are very different in this one. And so those are kind of my concerns. It's just,
Mhm.
it feels big and it's kind of hard to know where you are if you're not in the building. What about you, Queen?
I agree. It's a little disorienting. And the funny thing is, I'm looking at the description. And I'm wondering if I've even seen the whole map because it's saying how the map is split into two distinct biomes. So there's supposed to be like the foliage side, which is supposed to make you feel kind of claustrophobic with everything together and all the vegetation. And I guess there is also a rocky and bare area that's more open. And I'm not sure if I recall seeing that. So
I don't know
I
maybe
don't
either.
we,
I don't
yeah,
think I
because
have
it says
either.
a rocky and bare area that will give players a more open space to explore. A destroyed vehicle encased on spiky rock serves as a testament of a
Oh,
fierce battle
that
and
I
can now
remember.
serve as a landmark. So maybe I haven't seen that. Something else that I'm seeing is it looks like the wildlife can be used as a guide. So it does say that enigmatic blue
Oh.
flowers seem to feed on the energy of the entity and light up when a source of energy like generators and exit gates are around. So maybe kind of like on your maps where there's lights flickering, lets you know where a gen is, like on the indoor maps and stuff like that. I guess we need to start looking for blue flowers to let us know where the generators and exit gates are.
Okay.
But
I do remember the vehicle. There was a gen by
I
it
don't
Interesting.
know.
on one time we
Okay,
played.
I don't. Maybe I'll have to go see because I just remember being completely encased in foliage.
Yeah.
Um, But I do like that the map does have tiers. Like even the big main building, you can run under it. There are some little caves, but be mindful that they're only one way. You get stuck in there, you're going down.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I like it. I think it's very pretty. I like the interactive stuff, like with the environment with the spiders. I feel it's going to take me a little bit longer to get used to it. But now that I know they have these points, once I think we figure out where those are, it might be a little bit easier to get our bearings once we have these landmarks. Or, hey, now you know, look for blue flowers and hopefully you'll find a gin. It's something I did not notice before. So,
Yeah, I didn't notice that either.
but yeah, overall, I think it fits real with the lore. And I do think they did a really good job on it. It does feel like things are really close, though. But
Mm-hmm.
again, it might just be something over time that we're going to just have to get used to, especially since I feel like the last couple maps that have come out haven't been this foliage of heavy. They've been, like when I think of like Area of Crows, like it still is somewhat open even with the stuff on the map. And this just, I guess that's the feeling they were going for, though, is to make you feel closed in.
Okay. Anything else we want to add for PTB?
I'm
No.
excited to play it when it comes out.
Yeah, I'm ready
Yeah.
for it to go live
So I
and
think
see what
Mhm.
breaks.
June 13th, I believe, is the chapter release.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Yeah, we'll see what else breaks, right?
Yeah. What map's gonna break? What perk's gonna break? I'm sure there's gonna be a bug or two in there.
As long
Yeah.
as it's
I
not
know
the
people are
merciless
worried
storm map.
about I know people are worried about scavenger, but I really do think made for this is going to become an issue.
Yeah, I don't know about scout. Yeah, it because scavenger also you gotta be able to hit great skill checks.
Mhm.
So I mean, people can do that. It's just
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll
I
just
feel
have
like
to
that one's
see.
not too heavy on the skill. I mean,
I mean,
eventually you get better at it.
if you get a whole like Swift playing it, yeah, it would probably be an issue. But I don't think you're gonna see that with solo. So, um,
You
okay,
really have to have time to sit on a gin for that one to work too.
yeah, okay. So, couple more things I think we should talk about. There were some perk changes. One was Deja Vu, which I use during the PTV all the
So
time.
excited.
They had changed it. Um, Basically, Deja Vu was how it is now is that at the beginning of the match, for the first 60 seconds, I believe, you see the auras of the three, basically your three gen, your current three gen in the
Mhm.
map. The three gens that are clustered closest together, and then the aura goes away, and then when a gen's completed, you get like an updated aura of the three closest gens. But now they've just changed it to where you see the aura permanently, and you also get a if you have it tiered up all the way, it's 6% repair speed bonus on the highlighted gens.
Mhm.
So this is kind of to counter all the three gen stuff. Um, I personally loved it in PTB. It was great knowing
Hmm.
where to go. I think it's a time saver also in knowing
Mhm.
where to go. Right? Where's the gen? You're on the map and you're like, I don't know where all the gens are, right? Like,
Yeah.
here's three gens that are the closest together. You need
Mhm.
to do one of these gens and you can do it faster. Here you go. Uh, what are your thoughts on Deja Vu, Queen?
I do run the normal Deja Vu, which I like because you still have that repair speed bonus on those gens. But I like the fact that you can now see them all the time. Because when we were playing matches, Mocking, when you had it, you were able to call out like where the gens were to help break the three gen.
Mm-hmm.
That we were about to put ourselves in and not realize it. I think it's very useful perk, and I like that they're trying to break up that whole three gen meta. However, I think a big issue with three gens now too is just general generation of gens we've come across. We had a couple games where seriously the gens are like right next to each other, creating some awful three gens. So I think they need to look into just how the gens generate on the map. There's something going on there. Um, but hopefully this will help with just the general meta that killers are running perk wise. But I'm actually super excited to have this. I think it'll become part of my base kit or our base kit in general when we're swifting. I think someone should be running this all the time.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Morbid?
This is one that I've never actually utilized until when we were playing the PTB. So I think it's really good. It's a good change, and like Queen said, I feel like this is something that one of us will probably be running when we do our Swift games because it was super useful. Because we were always running around like, okay, here's this gen, here's that gen, trying to figure out which gens are 3 gens. So yeah, hopefully this will help out with like getting 3 gen and then the match lasts for like 20, 30 minutes.
Okay. The other thing I think we should talk about is items. One of the perk changes was the flashbang, but this also ties into um, they have recategorized items, or they put them in
Mhm.
categories. They haven't been categorized before. So flashbang, like after you do your progress on the gen, it activates, but you no longer have to be empty-handed. So you can carry your med kit or your toolbox with a flashbang. Okay. So that also ties into Morbid and I did a lot of testing
Mm-hmm.
because also in the patch notes they talk about that items are divided into categories now. We have survivor items, which is your toolbox, your med kit, firecrackers, flashlights. Also, the next category is special items, and this is items related playing against specific killers. So this is Pinhead's box, element configuration, Sadako's VHS tapes, the vaccine vial for Nemesis, first aid spray for Wesker. So those are special items now. They're related to the killer power. Temporary items, items that not return to the player's inventory at the end of the match, which is your flashbang and your like the white glyphs pocket mirror you have to do in the rift. So those are your
Mhm.
temporary items. So we did some testing. Morgan and I did, and yes, basically you can carry an item and all those killer items too on top of it. You don't have to set down your item when you do Pinhead's box anymore. Sadako's
Yay.
tape, I think, has always been you
It's
carry.
always been like
It's
that. Yeah.
always carried too. So now they're just kind of make it uniform with the flashbang change, um, and same with the first aid spray and the vaccine vial. You can carry that in your item. Um, so more since we tested this, what was your thoughts?
I was so excited when we found out that you could pick up the box, especially Pinhead's box, because it's the worst when you have to put down your med kit or whatever you brought with you and pick up the box and try and solve the configuration. And then Pinhead shows up and you run. And if you do manage to get away, it's almost impossible to find where you were to go back and pick up your item. And I think it's an amazing change. And they didn't even mention that you could do that other than flashbang,
Mm-hmm.
unless they just thought people would assume, oh, I can do that with everything. Um, but I like this change. This is going to be cool because you don't have to lose your item, especially if you bring something nice.
Yes. And also for Pinhead, this counters Franklin's.
Yeah,
Um, Franklin's will not make you drop the box. So you will have to
That's
down the
nice.
survivor to get the box if they're holding it.
which is awesome.
What about you, Queen?
Super excited because especially this rift that's currently out is a lot of the white glyphs, flashbangs. I kind of find it very frustrating when I have to give up the item I brought in, and especially like if I can't find it. Like when we were doing the flashbang one, you and I mocking, we're like, okay, we're putting our med kits here so we know where they are. But it'd be nice to have the items on us. I think it makes sense um, to be able to have access to special items that the killers have. And I think it also changes gameplay mechanics because once you know that you have someone who has those items, for example, going up against like a Nimi, you can just open his case and get the ejection and carry it around with you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Hmm.
assuming.
Yes.
to use it at an opportune time, which changes the gameplay for both you and the killer. So I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens now that we're able to do that. But I feel like it's a step in the right direction, because sometimes when you have those killers that you go up against, or when you have to do something that involves with putting down your item, like a flashbang, I'm just like, what's the point of bringing an item in the first place? And then I'm also feel like I'm losing out on something by not having an item.
Yeah.
So I like that they're trying to find a balance, and it just adds a different level of strategy to the game as well.
Yeah, I agree. It'll definitely change how, especially against Nemesis and Wesker, like you
Mm-hmm.
can just take the first aid spray. Um, though I think the thing I've noticed is if you're carrying both, I think you have to set down the killer item. I don't know if there's a way to use your med kit, like for instance, use your med kit and not the
Mm-hmm.
killer item. Because I
I don't.
noticed in
Yeah.
PTB with the EMP, like I couldn't use my med kit and hold the EMP. So I don't know if they need to add like another like control, like a button,
Mm-hmm.
um, to be like, oh, I'm using this item or I'm using this item. Um, that's the only thing I noticed. Because with the EMPs, so you can drop first aid spray. You obviously can't drop the box, but the EMP, if you dropped it, it went away. Like you couldn't pick it back up.
Mm-hmm.
You had to go to a box to get another one, which I think is fine considering you have
Mm-hmm.
unlimited
Yeah.
EMPs, where you don't. But you can put down first aid spray in the vial, so I don't think that's a problem because those items you only have so many of in the match.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the only thing I noticed is like trying to use both items was kind of like tricky if you had the killer item on you. But I mean, for Wesker and Nemi, I think I'll still go open a crate and carry one around with me,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because why not? Because they're gonna want
Might
to
as well.
use their power on you. So,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You might as well be prepared.
mm-hmm,
It also means you can move it in different areas too.
mm-hmm.
If you go raid the boxes and put them in a central location
We
that's safer.
are we gonna just move all the first aid sprays to the
We
corner
are.
of the map?
The very first map against very first game against Enemy, we're going to raid them all, and then we're going to put them in strategic locations that are safer.
Yes. I'm down. Let's do
It's
it.
gonna be like 3 or 4 minutes into matches, and Nemi's gonna be like, where are they? They're not on a gen. We're stockpiling.
We're stockpiling because aren't there some, like when opening the cases, sometimes there's effects they can bring in
Mm-hmm.
add-ons for opening the case.
Mm-hmm.
So if
I
you
know
open at the
Nemesis
beginning,
does.
yeah, you don't have to worry about it. I know there's ads-on for actually using it, but if you're able to take it and put it somewhere else or stockpile in a certain location to where it might be safer to go use, I
Mm-hmm.
think that'd be interesting.
It could
And just
be.
sounds fun.
Just
Yeah, it
well,
does.
yeah, like if you put them on the corner of the map, like, and because whenever you use either the first aid spray or the vaccine, they get the killer instinct alert, right? But
Hmm.
like if it's not near any gens, like if the killer's got to walk across the whole map, they're just gonna
Yep.
ignore it,
Mhm.
because there are some add-ons. I know Nemi has one where you get exposed if you use the vaccine, but again, like, are you gonna go across the map? It's
Mhm.
like a choice, the killer. And they might choose to do
Exactly.
that, but then they're not defending the gen, so it's like a choice
Yeah.
they're gonna have to make. So it
Tell you
could be
what, you
interesting.
got rid of my boon. You got rid of Boone's Circle of Healing. I'm going to take all your items and put them in an area of the
Oh
map,
my
and you
gosh.
have to choose. Do you want to defend that area of the map,
I'm so
or are
excited to
you
play
gonna
with
let
you
me?
now.
Are
I
you
know.
gonna let me heal? I'm gonna make you suffer. That's all I can
It's
say.
payback.
Oh my.
It just makes it fun. Like if I
That's
was a
true.
killer and I was like, "Where's all my stuff?"
Like they're running around like every box is open. What is
Every box
going on?
is open. What's happening?
They can't be holding like all 10. Like, what are you doing?
You think?
Watch me. Like, that's my whole thing. The moment we get into me, guys, I'm not doing gins. I'm just gonna go from one case to the other, picking up the item and
Just-
putting it somewhere.
Well, you
That's
pick the
gonna be
spot and let us
great.
know.
Yeah,
We'll bring more.
it'll be
Okay.
fun.
Well, that's all I had. Is there anything else y'all want to talk
That's
about?
a lot.
It was a lot.
No.
There was a lot
Yeah.
this, and this wasn't
Yeah.
even everything because we could have deep dived
Oh yeah.
Into more, but
There was more in the live stream, but this was kind of the stuff that was most important to us and most impactful. There were a lot of little changes they talked about, but and there's some other changes in the PTB. They kind of updated Ghostface's power and make him a little stronger. Oh, I mean, the big thing with the pyramid head, they're gonna make it now if he hits you with his power, his long range power, you're gonna be tormented. And I know there's a lot of mixed feelings on that one. So you don't have to run through the spaghetti anymore. You just have to get hit.
you just have to get hit.
Which I feel like is, I don't know, that's a lot. Just you could constantly just be sending everybody
To the cage.
to the little cage, which I guess is fine, but
Well, you
It
don't-
kinda
Technically,
makes
it's a
his-
safer unhook because it's away from him.
yeah, I just feel like it kind of makes his like spaghetti power thing, because I don't remember what it's called. Not useless, but
It's the Trail of Torment.
yeah.
yeah,
something
Trail
like
of
that.
Torment. I don't know.
Well,
There's no way to counter that. Like at least with the Trail of Torment, you can go around it, or you can crouch right and walk through,
yeah, you can walk
and-
through it.
and you're not affected. So it's kind of, I don't know. I'm mixed on that as well. I'm not sure what to think of that.
Well, my issue is so if you're tormented and he can cage you, you don't have BT if you're caged.
Yeah.
Oh, true.
So I
I don't think you get a haste effect
I would
either.
almost be fine with this change if they added BT to the cages.
Oh, could this be like
okay.
the new way of camping or tunneling out?
Tunneling out. You can't
Did
really
B2.
you can't camp the cage because it'll move.
Yeah,
if
but
it
you
moves,
could
but-
go directly there.
but yeah, because he gets a notification when the uncaging happens. So this is
Well,
kind of the problem I
ooh.
see is like the tunneling.
How do
putting-
the cages work for anti-tunneling? Because you can't move yourself from a cage.
Nope.
Oh, true.
Yeah, if you get caged, you lose deliverance.
Yeah.
I mean, granted,
Oh my gosh,
it's
guys.
supposed to be the furthest, right, from the.
It's supposed to be the furthest from the.
I can
killer.
see it now. Every killer is just going to be a pyramid head.
He's back.
So we'll see if they keep this. I mean, they could change it. They said they're going to listen to feedback.
Well, let's
So
hope.
we'll see.
Yeah. I just also read something. Now I don't feel bad for messing with Nemesis, like the syringes and stuff, because apparently they're going to increase the time it takes to use the vaccine and increase the killer instinct where when the survivor is using it. Like, so yeah, I'm gonna move all your stuff into me.
Yeah, they're
She's
throwing
coming for your
some
stuff.
Other, tweaks to like artist fixture.
Yeah.
Ghostface is getting a little bit of a buff in movement speed when crouched, and his recharge time. But that's kind of it. Yeah, I think that was about everything for PTV.
Mm-hmm.
For anniversary. Hopefully we'll find out more about Nick Cage.
Yeah.
I want to know
July.
more.
I'm
So,
excited. I want to know what the storyline is and if it's going to relate to lore.
Oh no.
Oh, I didn't even think of that. That would be funny though.
Oh my gosh, Nick Cage is the
I wonder-
entity
Okay, so
masquerading as
Oh.
the survivor.
okay,
Ultimate like ending.
but you know they also announced after Skull Merchant that the following rift would be the newly released chapter. So that's why I like this rift is
Mhm.
Skull Merchant.
Yeah.
I wonder if they'll do that with Nick Cage. Like, will Nick Cage have a rift?
Oh,
Like,
that'd be so cool.
Usually they don't do rifts for license. Usually,
That would be fun.
I mean, they have, but for it to be like right after the release,
he better.
I'm
That's all I gotta say.
curious.
All the things. We want to know all the things.
Yes.
Will the next tome be about Nick Cage and all how he's
We hope.
Like, yeah.
intertwined
Nick
with
Cage
the
lore, give it to
entity?
me. I'm here for it. I'm here for Nick Cage lore. Let's do it.
Okay. Well, that wraps it up.
Boop, boop.
So,
Yay.
another episode of Gems Before Friends.
Yay!
Yep.
Episode 3.
It is episode 3. We made it to episode 3. Woo.
I know. We're good.
Congratulations.
So
And then-
good. Look at us.
I know. I'm trying to look at the calendar and see. Well, okay. We probably won't. Well, it depends on when we record. If we'll record after the next chapter comes out. We talk about new chapter.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
We'll have to figure it out. Eventually, we're going to do our plague episode.
Yes,
Yeah.
lore, plague lore. I've been
Plague
doing
lore,
a lot
I'm
of research.
So excited.
I'm super excited to give you guys all the lore.
Let's do it. Okay.
Let's go.
Well, let's sign off. Thank y'all for listening. I'm Mockingbird.
I'm Queen MG.
There you go.
I'm Morbid Plum.
Yay, and thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.